Hi, thanks for watching the Multi-Billionaire Empire Framework series. This is a video on more ways to raise cap rate, lower expenses, and raise net operating income. Basically, on like $1 million property, every $10,000 you save or add income to the property raises the value by 100,000. So if it's on 20 million or 10 million and above, that number is even higher. So this is very critical and very important. It may seem boring now, but once you're in your first property, this is the video you're going to want to come back to. Now, why is this all important? Okay, well, it's important because if you can do simple things, you can change the value of the property dramatically and sell it for a fast buck if you want, or you can hold the property, or which is the goal here, is to get $1 million out of a property cash per property and close on them once a week. Now, this all sounds like a bunch of hot air and like impossible, but no, it's not. It's actually very easy. There is tons of sellers out there. There's tons of apartments and hotels, even hotels from 1 to 5 million range, or 1 to 6 million, or even 1 to 10 million range, same as apartments, which we'll get into more later, that all have cooperative sellers. They're either, say, seller financed or off market, or is a seller owner occupied manager, or just the seller is on the property of some of them that may need a little work, not even that much work. Because if you go around the area, you could even find the sellers of these apartments and contact them, or go up to them directly and do it. I mean, it's simple. We could put them on an assumable loan and refinance it and quick claim your name into the property and get you in. Or for $1 to $5 million, the worst case scenario, you're talking like maybe 10% down payment, worst case, which is like nothing. I can get funding all day long for down payments. But the trick is, the reason why this is so critically important is getting in your first property is easy. You just have to go do it. Once you're in it, you have an apartment. We ideally pull out some cash. Depends on it. If it's 1 to 5 million, how much? And the trick is, you raise the income, you lower the expenses, and if you have 1 or 2 of these properties, which are simple to get into, trust me, they're easy. I have a lot of clients and I've done it myself. Then, if you take 1 or 2 of these, you can do a 1031 exchange onto a bigger $10 or $20 million property where you can literally pull out the $1 million per property. But you get your first $1 million, you do this, then you can do this all day long and do nothing but make $1 million a week or $1 million a month if you're slow. That's the plan, that's the goal, that's how this thing works. Now, if you don't know where to find your properties, like on my other list of video, there's Zillow, Craigslist, Crixie, CRXI.com. Then you have Connected Investors, which has a very unique thing called pins, where you can actually find off-market properties. A lot of these all have off-market and for sale by owner financed and off-market properties, and as well as finding them. So that one, and then there's a couple others. It's just a little bit of work. Maybe you put in half a day's worth of work to find a property and go do the deal. It's simple. I mean, this is easy money. Okay, so that's the purpose. That's the reason why you want to do this. Once you get in the property, you're going to raise the revenue, drop the expenses, and your value's already there, and you've already got $100,000 just off of doing nothing. And I'm going to show you in this video what the nothing's going to be. So on properties like 20 units and less, you can go drop the manager altogether. The average management is around, nowadays, is like 10%. You can get these to be ran on apps that will go ahead and collect your payment and everything. There's apps called Cozy, Appfolio, and Buildium. These are management property apps, and that drops your expense from 10%, which is, I'm going to show you how much that is, a lot. Do like 45% a month. And you go with direct deposit, ACH, on your tenants. The whole trick to property management on single family, multi-unit, or whatever is tenant selection. You want to make sure they don't have a history of domestic violence, no drugs, and you probably want to charge them an application fee to run the background. So, like I was saying, the average management fee is like 10%, just for example, just so we can get the idea of the numbers. I'm going to go through other things as well, but on a 10-unit apartment that's making like $10,000 a month net operating income, your monthly from 10% drops to 45%. I mean, management, yeah. So if you're talking on a big picture, that goes from, 10,000 overall. 10,000 overall is going to put you there. So if you have a cap rate of 8%, your value of the property is 900,000. You're making 120,000 gross. With your 40% expenses, you could drop the expenses. Watch this. You drop the expenses down to where you're talking 30% on the 8% cap. You just raised your net operating income by like $10,000, $11,000, which, when you do the numbers, transforms into the number of building your property up to $100,000 more value, just like that, just on a simple thing. Plus, the managers are usually there on site, and they always have their own place to live in, which is another, which I didn't even put into this equation, which is another extra, depends on what your rents are. Like if it's a small average type apartment complex, 10 to 20 unit, has a lot of 1 or 2 bedrooms. If it's say if it's in a 2 bedroom or 1 bedroom, I mean, you're talking like $400 or $500 a month times 11. That's like another $5,000 or $6,000 because you're renting out his space. Now, also, when you buy these older properties, they have the old school method of collecting a deposit. Well, you're going to drop the whole deposit and you're going to make it a non-refundable move-in fee. So that's going to raise the property in itself. Just doing these basic things, you could take almost any property, even if you have like a, say, maybe like a 20 unit for 900,000 with a cap rate of like 7%, which isn't that great, and it's making, well, say like, say around 8% cap rate or whatever. Say it's making like 75,000 a year, which isn't a great. I mean, $900,000 sell price on a property with a net operating income of like 75,000 is overpriced, because you'd want to get a 10 cap on that. Would probably be like around. You'd probably tell the guy you'd pay like 800,000 or maybe 750,000 for the property, but it'd be worth it. I mean, you could tell the guy, I'll pay you $1 million, I'm going to pull out 100,000, or I want to pay you 800,000, you carry the extra 100,000, or 200,000, let me pull out 100,000. But the thing is, even if you buy a property, if the guy's cooperative and the price is a little higher than normal, which that price in that scenario is, you're still going to make up the value of the property almost dramatically just by your first month being in there, making some small changes. And the big changes would be drop the management and drop the security deposit. You already added at least, I mean, at minimum, if you're retarded, $100,000 to $200,000 value on this $900,000 property. But so before long, your property's already gone up dramatically just from walking in the door, and you got in the door. And the trick is, you get in the door with 1 or 2, and then boom, you have these 2 that can be leveraged as down payment for the $20 million property where you pull out the $1 million. All this can be done within like a matter of, well, it shouldn't be long. I mean, a couple months. You could pull this off all day long, your first $1 million. I mean, I have clients who've done it. I have clients do it on their first transaction. And back when I started getting into commercial real estate and stuff and started buying things, I went back and bought, because when I was in town, did college and stuff, I stayed in tons of apartments. I went back and bought probably almost all the apartments I used to live in, because I knew exactly what to do and how to change them. And they weren't even on the market. And, well, some of them were, a couple were. Then it gave me the idea. So I got with the landlords that knew me already and gave them a great scenario how they could win-win, and closed on those. That was easy. But that's just one way to do it. You just have to put a little effort into this, and the things will fall into place. Now, also, you don't have renter's insurance when you have insurance on the building. You have a specific type of a landlord insurance that doesn't cover the inside of the inside of the property. So if you're going to require it, or you're going to have tenants get renters insurance, which they want to do, you can use this app called Appfolio, which costs like $9, and you can raise it to 15 to 20 bucks. Cover their insurance, make some more money on that. Then you're going to have a contract with the cable company and internet company, which they do, and they run it all through you, and you can upsell that as well, and you get a discount for having everybody there, be it whatever, cable or the DirecTV or whatever it is. Boom, there's more money, which all these older apartments, they don't have all this stuff. Most of them don't offer cable and all this stuff, and a lot of the older apartments will have, sometimes they'll include, depends on how you want to set up, they'll include where the apartment owner only pays electricity and you're covering water, gas, and trash. So sometimes you could kick it over and make the tenant pay for the gas or whatever helps it. I mean, you have to look at that. That one's case by case. Pet deposit, change that to non-refundable pet fee. There goes another extra money in the bank, which is going to add to the profit. You can do cell phone carry with the rep, same thing. That's kind of just an idea. It may not work. It probably would, but it depends on how you set up. Your expenses, you're going to take an auction on them from your trash provider, your lawn, and all those. So you can get that down. Your maintenance people. Since if you do have a maintenance person, you're going to have, you can add a little extra service in having the renters pay a small upcharge for a month-to-month service, whatever, for them just to put the trash outside the door versus taking it to the dumpster. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you got a maintenance guy that's always going to be on the property to check things out. Once in a while, you might have them do that once a week. And then when you have some money, you're going to spend some money on the curb appeal of the apartment. The painting, maybe, of course, that's when you first get the thing in set up. You can maybe do interior counters, carpet, paint, that kind of stuff. On the outside of the building, you can run an ad for like a local artist to do like a mural or something for free just to get their name signed on the bottom of the thing. You'd be surprised, which would change the outlook of the apartment dramatically as well. So that pretty much covers your ideas for changing the expenses and raising the income as an extra video compared to the last video of more things you can do. So to recap this, dropping your management for units of like up to 20 units. Bigger than that, you would lower the management fee. You'd be more selective on your tenants, the tenants with no domestic violence, no drug history, and hire or try and get tenants that are ideally medical, nurses type things, professional. Drop the security deposit, change it to a non-refundable move-in fee, override the renter's insurance and upsell that, use Appfolio, contract with the cable company, pet deposits, non-refundable to a fee, that's more income. Cell phone, if you can, throw it in. I mean, that's just a separate thing, but it can happen. I've seen it happen. Can you do, okay, cell phones. Then you got expenses. You want to auction off or bid for the expenses. And then you can spend some money on the curb appeal. Overall, that should take any of your basic apartments, plus the other video of things I mentioned as well. That should dramatically change the value of the property. That's the whole trick to the game. On your $1 to $5 or $6 million, you could take, like I said, the lateral conversions and the other thing. You could take the motel and change it to some of the 2 bedrooms into 2 1-bedrooms that are large and get more money, or change it from 1 single bedroom to a lease to own condo. And a lot of people would be like, well, why do I want to do that? You want them to do that because, one, you get more money, the down payment, the payment, you'd have down payment instead of rent maybe a little bit higher, plus the actual value of that individual unit is going to be more that you're going to sell for than if you sold the whole thing altogether, which would definitely increase your money. And then also it's going to report on the credit report, allow them to get into a house later. So that's just some lateral conversion things as well, but which I went over in the last video. So those are ideas and ways to raise the operating income, net operating income, and lower the expenses. That is how you raise the cap rate. And that is how you make the money, to raise the value of the property and to sell it. Now you have to remember that the debt service or the payment on the loan is not included in the cap rate or your net operating income. This is just your cash flow. But this is the framework and the principle of what you're going to do basically all your commercial properties and make money and set up where you sell them and get into making more money. It's very important on the very beginning ones. So you can use this and maybe another one to get in like 20 million above, pull out cash and make this your full-time career and make tons of money at it and keep building your real estate portfolio. All right, thanks for watching this video, and I will catch you on the next one.